Sinai Desert, October 24th, 1260. A man is lying in the sand, not wounded, not fallen in battle, stabbed by his own generals. The same men who, 51 days ago, stood beside him at the most important military victory in the history of the medieval world. His name was Qutuz, and 6 weeks before he died in that field, he did something no army on earth had managed to do in 40 years. He stopped the Mongols. Not slowed them, not negotiated with them, stopped them in open battle and sent them running. But here is what nobody tells you. The man who killed him was standing in that same battle, fighting on the same side, holding the same line, and he had planned the assassination before the last Mongol soldier had even left the field. To understand how the man who saved the Muslim world died at the hands of the men he saved it with, you need to understand what the Mongols took from him first. Khwarezm, 1210. A boy is born into a palace. His name is Mahmud ibn Mahmud. His uncle is Sultan Jalal ad-Din, ruler of the Khwarezmian Empire, one of the most powerful states in the known world at the time. Persia, Central Asia, the trade routes between East and West. All of it, his family's. Mahmud is not raised as a soldier, he is raised as a prince. He has a name, a bloodline, a future. Then the Mongols arrived. 1231. Mahmud is roughly 20 years old. The empire his family built collapses in months. His uncle flees, the army dissolves, the cities burn. Mahmud is captured, not killed, because young, healthy captives were worth more alive. He is moved to Damascus, then sold. Imagine you are Mahmud in that moment, standing in a market in chains, in a city that is not your country, being evaluated like livestock by men who do not know your name and would not care if they did. You were a prince this morning. You are property this afternoon. An Egyptian merchant buys him, sells him again to a man named Aybak, the first sultan of the Mamluks in Cairo. The Mamluks bought boys to make soldiers. They trained them, converted them, freed them, technically, then built their entire military around their loyalty. Mahmud was good at this, better than good. He climbed, quietly, steadily. He became one of Aybak's closest men. He learned the language of power inside a system built on violence. And he was patient, because Mahmud ibn Mahmud had already lost everything once. He was not going to lose it again. But patience alone doesn't build empires, and what was coming from the east in 1258 was not something patience could survive. February 1258. Baghdad falls. The Mongols under Hulagu Khan don't just conquer the city, they erase it. 800 years of civilization. The libraries, the canals, the markets, the Abbasid Caliphate itself, gone in days. The Caliph al-Mustasim, the spiritual leader of the entire Muslim world, is rolled in a carpet and trampled by horses. Because Mongol tradition said royal blood must not touch the ground. Even their executions had protocol. The smell of burning paper from the House of Wisdom filled the Tigris River for weeks. Then Damascus falls, without a real fight. Now there is nothing between the Mongol army and Egypt. Nothing except the Nile, and whatever soldiers Cairo could put in front of it. In Cairo, Aybak is dead, murdered by his own wife, Shajarat al-Dur, in a bathhouse in 1257. The Sultan on the throne is Aybak's son, Al-Mansur Ali, 15 years old. Qutuz, the name the Mongols gave Mahmud, meaning the fierce dog, because he fought so hard when they first captured him as a child. Qutuz is now the regent, the real power behind a boy king. He calls a council. He lays out the situation with the flat, quiet clarity of a man who has already survived the worst once before. Egypt cannot be led by a 15-year-old against the Mongol army. Not today. Al-Mansur Ali is removed. Qutuz declares himself Sultan. November 1259. He makes one public promise. When the Mongols are defeated, Choose whoever you want. Nobody laughs. Nobody challenges him because everyone in that room can smell the smoke from Baghdad even here in Cairo. Then Hulagu's letter arrives. Qutuz had two choices. Read it, answer it diplomatically, buy time, survive, or send a message that made retreat impossible. He chose the message, and that decision would change everything. Before we continue, if this story is pulling you in, hit subscribe. It truly helps us bring you more like this. Now, back to Qutuz. The letter from Hulagu Khan is one of the most terrifying documents in medieval history, not because of what it threatens, because of how certain it sounds. We are the soldiers of God, created from his wrath, unleashed upon those who deserve it. Where will you flee? What road will save you? What country will protect you? Our horses are fast, our arrows pierce everything, our swords are lightning, our hearts are mountains, our numbers are like sand. Fortresses do not stop us, armies cannot fight us, your prayers against us go unheard. Submit before the fire of war ignites. The letter is delivered to Cairo by Mongol envoys. Formal, official, confident. Qutuz reads it. Then he executes the envoys, cuts them in half, hangs their heads on the gates of Cairo. This is not rage. This is calculation. A sultan who kills Mongol envoys cannot negotiate afterward, cannot surrender without humiliation, cannot step back. He had just burned every bridge behind him. The only direction left was forward. He marches north. But here is the move nobody expected. Qutuz reaches the Crusader port of Acre and asks for something no Muslim commander had ever asked a Crusader for: safe passage and neutrality. The Crusaders, who had fought Muslims for 200 years, said yes, because they were afraid of the Mongols too. The alliance that should have been impossible happens in a single afternoon. Now Qutuz needs a commander for the vanguard, the most dangerous position in the battle, the unit that advances first, absorbs the first Mongol charge, and must either hold or die drawing the enemy forward. He chooses Baybars, who had been in exile. Baybars, who had returned only because Qutuz invited him back. Baybars, who had reasons neither man would say out loud to resent the man asking him. But Baybars takes the command. September 3rd, 1260. The Galilee. The valley near Ain Jalut, the spring of Goliath. Baybars advances. The Mongols charge. He retreats, controlled, deliberate, drawing them deeper into the valley, between the hills, toward the ground Qutuz had chosen. Then Qutuz hits them from every side. The Mongol commander Kitbuka, a Nestorian Christian general who had never lost a major battle, is captured, then executed. The army that burned Baghdad, the army that erased the caliphate, the army that had not been stopped by anyone in 40 years, breaks, runs. Qutuz throws his helmet into the air and shouts across the battlefield, "O Islam!" It is over in one afternoon. What happened after Ain Jalut is almost never taught in schools. The victory didn't just stop the Mongols, it proved something the world had believed was impossible. They could be stopped. Every ruler in the region who had been calculating surrender, watching Baghdad, watching Damascus, running their own quiet math on how long before Cairo fell, had that calculation erased in a single afternoon. The psychological impact was larger than the military one. Qutuz moves the army north and east, clearing the remaining Mongol forces from Syria. The lands taken in weeks without a fight by Hulagu's advance units, given back in the weeks after Ain Jalut. Damascus is retaken. The road east is secured. The army begins the return march to Cairo. Celebrations, music, the sound of men who had expected to die, laughing instead. On the road south, near the Sinai, Qutuz orders a halt, a hunt, a rest stop. The army spreads across the plain. During the hunt, Baybars approaches Qutuz, casual, easy, friendly. He holds out a rabbit he had caught. "A gift," he says, reaching out to take Qutuz's hand, the traditional gesture of offering. 3 commanders positioned nearby are already moving. Badr ad-Din Bakhtut, Anas, Bahadir al-Mu'izzi. They strike simultaneously. Qutuz, the man who stopped the Mongols, who burned his bridges, who made the impossible alliance, who threw his helmet at the sky, dies in a field, in the Sinai, alone. 50 days after his greatest victory. The commanders look at one another in the silence after. "Who will be Sultan?" Baybars says, "I will." Nobody argues. Here is the fact that reframes everything. Baybars had been planning this before the battle ended. The refusal of Aleppo, Qutuz giving Baybars' promised reward to another commander, was the trigger. But the motive was older than that. Baybars' first master, Faris Aktay, had been killed by Aybak, Qutuz's own predecessor. Baybars had been driven into exile because of it. The resentment wasn't about Aleppo, it was about everything that came before Aleppo. Qutuz knew Baybars was dangerous. He chose him anyway, because Ain Jalut needed him. That choice saved the Muslim world, and it ended Qutuz's life. Now we need to talk about Baybars, because the man who killed Qutuz is one of the most complex figures in the entire medieval period. And history tends to either erase him or turn him into a villain. Neither is accurate. He was born around 1223 in the Kipchak steppes, what is now Kazakhstan. The Mongols raided his people. He was captured young, sold in the market at Sivas in Turkey, moved to Damascus, sold again. His final buyer was an emir named al-Bundukdari in Aleppo. When he was first offered for sale, multiple buyers walked away, not because of his temperament, because of his eye. A white opacity, a cataract, clouded his left eye. He was purchased for 800 dinars, the price of an average slave, not the price of a future empire builder. The man who bought him at a discount because of a flaw in his eye had no idea what he was taking home. In 1247, his master is arrested. Sultan al-Salih Ayyub confiscates all of al-Bundukdari's property, including Baybars. He is assigned to the elite Bariya regiment, the Sultan's personal guard. 1250, the Crusade of Louis IX. The French king sails his entire army into the Nile Delta, the most ambitious Western military operation in a generation. Baybars leads the charge at the Battle of Mansoura. He does not wait. He does not hesitate. He rides directly into the Crusader vanguard and tears it apart. Louis IX, King of France, future Catholic saint, is captured, ransomed for 400,000 livres and the city of Damietta. Baybars is 27 years old. But after the victory, his patron Aktay is murdered by Sultan Aybak, who feared the growing power of the Bariya faction. Baybars flees to Syria, survives in the margins for years. He watches, he waits, he does not forget. When Qutuz calls him back for Ain Jalut, Baybars returns. He fights with everything he has. He wins the battle that saves 2 civilizations. Then he asks for Aleppo. Qutuz refuses. In that moment, every stored year of exile, every memory of Aktay's death, every market stall in Damascus and Sivas and Aleppo converges into one decision. The rabbit, the hand, the signal. And just like that, the man history needed most was replaced by the man history feared most. We started with a man dying in the sand. You might have assumed this was a story about a hero who was betrayed, about loyalty broken at the worst moment, about the unfairness of history. It isn't. It's a story about a system, was built on one foundational truth. Loyalty was purchased, trained, and conditional. Every man in that army had been bought, shaped, freed, and pointed at a target. The target was always, ultimately, power. Qutuz understood this system. He used it to take the throne himself. He used it to choose Baybars over safer commanders. He used it to burn his bridges with the Mongol envoys because he knew the system only worked when retreat was impossible. He died inside the same system he had mastered because he was naive, because the system had no other endings. And Baybars, the man with the clouded eye, bought at a discount, exiled twice, who had every reason to collapse under the weight of what history had done to him. Baybars became the most powerful ruler in the Islamic world. He pushed the Mongols back from Syria, twice. He dismantled Crusader fortresses one by one, Arsuf, Jaffa, Caesarea, Antioch. He brought a surviving Abbasid prince to Cairo and installed him as caliph, making himself, officially, the protector of the Muslim world. He built a postal network so efficient that a message traveled from Damascus to Cairo in 4 days. He died in Damascus in 1277 from a cup of fermented mare's milk, the same poison he had prepared for someone else. He is buried in the Zahiriya library in Damascus, a library he built with his own hands. His tomb is inside it. The man who was sold for 800 dinars, less than the price of a good horse, built his own mausoleum inside his own library in a city he conquered. But Baybars and Qutuz were not unique. The Mamluk system they came from, the world of purchased soldiers turned into kings, produced rulers for 3 centuries. It was not broken by the Mongols. It was not broken by the Crusaders. It was broken eventually by the Ottomans. And the man who broke it had his own impossible story. A story that begins not in a slave market, but on a battlefield outside Constantinople, with a 16-year-old sultan who everyone said was too young, too unstable, too reckless to hold an empire together. They were wrong. And that story is darker than this one.